Hello and welcome to episode 147 of Controller Club, the friendly face gaming space, a podcast where three, sometimes two, friends from across the globe sit down and talk about the one thing we love, video games. On today's show, a surprise Nintendo Direct. What's going on there? Hogwarts Legacy DLC has been canceled, and we're going to dive into our New Game Plus Video Game Book Club games, plural, of the month. My name is Kleinfeld, and joining me today is one of my best friends in the whole wide gaming world, coming to us from across the pond, the digital art daredevil himself, the master of the dojo, the street fighting king, Tom Drew. Tom, the reason I intro that, I'm not going to talk about it in the news. The reason I said that, though, Street Fighter 4 coming to Netflix games. Minutes ago it was
Oh,
announced.
really?
How are you feeling? Initial thoughts?
What? I mean, was that the one that was on the 3DS as well? I'm pretty sure it's Street Fighter
I think
4.
Street Fighter 4 went everywhere.
Yeah. So if they could put it on the 3DS, I guess they can put it on Netflix. That's kind of wild. I kind of want to try it now. Just out of curiosity. Yeah, Super Street Fighter 4 was on the Nintendo 3DS. So you know what? Put Street Fighter everywhere. I put it on my fridge. It's not even it's not even one of those like fridges, but I want to see Street Fighter everywhere. So more places that's good with me.
Sadly, it is just the two of us. Our co host Lauren Rouse is off in the Rocky Mountains, but listener, you will not be without her for this entire episode. She will be joining us by way of some recording finagling, some time travel, I don't know, shenanigans. She'll be joining us a little bit later to talk about her New Game Plus game of the month, which was Balatro. But before we get to all that, let's jump into the news. We got some big news this week, so Tom Drew, give us that news jingle.
It's the news we choose. Yeah.
We start with Nintendo. A surprise Nintendo Direct out of absolutely nowhere announced, I guess, as of recording 2 days ago, or even less. I think it was 24 hours between when this was announced and when it actually happened. Mere days before the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, they had their, I guess, swan song for the Nintendo Switch. We'll jump into it first. I'll do a quick rundown from Eric Van Allen over at IGN. He writes, "The Switch 2 looms on the horizon, and in less than a week's time, we'll learn more information about Nintendo's next console. Today, though, Nintendo hosted a Switch 1 focused Direct, and it felt like a flurry of last-minute announcements for the record-shattering handheld hybrid console ahead of its successor. Highlights from the stream centered on the original Switch include footage of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond and Pokemon Legends ZA, sequels to classic series like Tomodachi Life and Rhythm Heaven, plus some new Switch features and general Nintendo updates ahead of the Switch 2 Direct next week. There's a little bit left in the old Switch, it seems, and it's extremely likely all of these games will still be playable on the forthcoming Switch 2. We did a live reaction. If you're listening to this now, we're recording this a couple of days before it goes up, but if you missed it, you can go back over on our YouTube. We did a live reaction with Lauren of this final, I guess, Nintendo Switch Direct before the Switch 2 comes. I want to know, Tom, I kind of can gather your thoughts judging from where we were at in the live stream kind of situation, but what'd you think about, I guess, first the lead up to this? Why are we doing this before a Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, mere days away? And then having seen it, what'd you think about the show itself?
Yeah, I mean, we did kind of talk about it in the live stream of like potential reasons why this might have happened the way it did. Maybe they were scared the Pope was going to die. We were going to get a conclave situation, and we'd have to worry about like this interfering with that or being kind of in poor taste if they released a Nintendo Direct around that time. Luckily, the Pope's alive, which is good, obviously. But yeah, it feels very strange. And it feels very strange because a lot of the games in this, I mean, there were some cool announcements, I thought, but it does make me wonder. I guess they didn't explicitly say like whether that they were Switch One games exclusively or not, because we have the Switch Two Direct next week. They might elaborate on that a bit more of like whether some of these games are going to be cross-platform or cross launches, I guess. Um, but it does make me wonder like why we are getting entries in these new franchises like Rhythm Heaven, like Tomodachi Life, but they would just be Switch One games. I guess Yeah, like, again, we talked about this on the live stream. I guess it is because, you know, Switch has such a huge install base. Like loads of people still have a Switch, so it does make sense in some ways to um release games for that system still. But I also do wonder if if you're still releasing Switch One games as like first party Nintendo's Switch One games, are you kind of like telling your player base like, hey, you don't need to get a Switch 2 necessarily. We still have some games coming out on Switch 1. That is to say, like that, we're getting like a new Mario Kart. We're getting, I'm sure, many other like big games on Nintendo Switch 2. So people want to hop over for those prestige titles. I'm not saying Tomodachi Life isn't a prestige title necessarily, but um it's just weird. I feel weird about the whole thing, honestly. But what did you think overall, coming off of it a couple hours since we watched it?
When they announced it, I had very high hopes because I thought, of course, we have 150 million Nintendo Switches out there. There's got to be some games. There's got to be a few games. There's got to be two particular games that that we haven't seen yet. Those being the Zelda HD Switch ports, which have been rumored to be coming forever. They're the only Wii U games out there that haven't come to the Switch, and we still have not gotten them. I think that this stream was a little confounding. It's definitely not the worst Nintendo Direct I've ever seen. It had Metroid Prime 4 gameplay in it, for God's sake. Like, we got to see that game running for the first time, what we're going to be doing in that game, psychic powers, Samus in a very cool new suit. I loved that. The Tomodachi life of it all, I was very confused. The giant me going, "Would you like to talk?" was just terrifying. It's going to haunt my dreams for the rest of my life. And then we also had things in here like the virtual game card, where they are reinventing the way digital games work. And you can now lend games digitally from your Switch to other people for 14 days. I'm still very confused by it. I've read all of the like literature they've released alongside it. It doesn't make sense to me still. And then we end. We have, you know what? For the one last announcement, we're bringing out Shigeru Miyamoto. And I don't know if I was wrong to get excited, but Shigeru Miyamoto doesn't just show up on these things for nothing. He's a big deal. And so they were saying it's not going to be a game announcement. Everyone on the stream instantly is thinking not Nintendo. What am I talking about? Mario Movie 2. Are we getting that? We had a similar update for the first one when they originally announced that and did the whole casting. And that was when they were like, and Chris Pratt is Mario and Anya Taylor-Joy is Peach. And we're like, what is happening? What is going on? And they announced an app that's like a daily news Nintendo app / calendar app. I'm a little disappointed. I thought we were going to get Zelda. I thought we were going to get that Fire Emblem remake that has supposedly been done for 2 years. It's what all the insiders have been saying, and just still nothing about it. But I think if we didn't know we were getting the Switch 2 Direct in just a couple of days, I'd feel a lot more disappointed. I'd feel a lot more empty than I do right now. But just knowing that, like, okay, the appetizer is out of the way. We didn't get a Metroid date. Most of these games, Pokemon still undated. We're saving some stuff. We've got some things to announce still. We don't know what that Switch 2 Direct is going to look like. So I'm hoping that is kind of the main course to this nice little snack beforehand.
Yeah, hopefully. It just on the Nintendo Today app announcement, it does
We
feel
downloaded it. I got it. I'm ready.
okay. I haven't yet because I guess I just didn't grip me that much, but maybe I will after this. But it does feel weird, like the way they pitch is like Nintendo Directs are kind of like speaking directly to giving news directly to the fans, which I understand. Like I think it's uh like a good idea, I suppose. But in some ways, like I do feel like by the nature of directs, it like because they are kind of sparse. You don't get them all the time. There is that kind of build up of like, oh, what is Nintendo working on? Uh, that anticipation, and obviously sometimes you get a little bit disappointed. Like this, I would say I was disappointed by this direct, but it was kind of like it was, yeah, it was what it was. But that anticipation I think is important. I think if you have this like drip feed of news every day, you might get a bit, I don't know, like it might not be as exciting if it's not a exciting news reveal every day. I think it was different when you had like the Smash Brothers dojo, for
That's the
example, for
first
Brawl.
thing I thought about was Smash Bros. Dojo, waking up every day. And some days it would be like Sonic the Hedgehog is coming to Super Smash Bros. Brawl. This is the biggest news in the history of the world. And then others it would be like, guess what? The 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 power up mushroom is back.
Exactly, and
we're
like
adding
so.
tripping.
Oh, yeah, God. So if it's like if it's that kind of thing where it's like, uh, and but at the same time, like with the brawl, like I guess like a Smash game, you are kind of excited with those little tidbits because it is for one specific game. But I wonder if that works on like a wider span across Nintendo. Maybe it does. I don't know.
We'll
It'll be
see.
interesting to see
I'm
how they
wondering,
roll it
I'm
out.
skeptical how long these daily news updates last
Yeah.
because they said that starting on April 2nd with the Switch 2, they're going to have daily Switch 2 updates. That makes sense to me. There are, I'm sure, things about this console. Every day it's going to be like, guess what? The A button, it's back, it's there again. But then other days it could be, hey, Nintendo GameCube is coming to Virtual Console at launch. That makes sense. Once the Switch 2 is out, I think it's the Wild West of where this could go. They could continue doing their thing. I think that Nintendo has maybe looked at the overall internet landscape, I'll call it, and maybe said, hey, the platforms in which we have been divulging news to fans might be headed in a direction we no longer want to be associated with. And so that's where I could see when they want to do those ungodly amount of Donkey Kong Country Return HD updates. That's where they could do it on this Nintendo Today app. I could see that. I can also see a world where in 6 months this thing's dead. They don't do anything with it again.
Yeah, because they had that like Mitomo app, I think it was. They've tried apps in the past, and some of them just have
They
kind of
have the
just
Nintendo
not been
Switch
working.
Music app, which I love, or I guess just
Yeah,
Nintendo Music. I love lots of great music, but even stuff there is confounding. They just released, is it Kirby and the Forgotten Lands? Is that the Switch Kirby game? They
yeah.
just released that soundtrack, but they were like, no, we're drip feeding you the soundtrack. We're going to do some now and some later in the year so we don't spoil some of the, like, we're keeping some of the spoiler tracks away. It's like this game's 4 years old.
Oh God.
Why do we care?
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean.
Also,
Like,
there's built-in functionality in that app that you can turn off. Like they have screen grabs from all of the songs. You can turn off spoiler images. It doesn't matter. Like just release the freaking soundtrack.
well, this is the thing as well. Like, I feel like a lot of these kind of caliber of news like reveals on the Today app are just gonna be like, oh, new Nintendo music is out. Like, well, like I fear it's just gonna be that, and it's like, is it really worth it for that? Like, we don't really need a dedicated thing. Anyway, I feel like we're really harping on this Nintendo Today app thing. Anyway,
Well,
do we talk
it
about?
is a perfect embodiment of what this direct was.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, it really
We
was.
learn about the virtual card, we learn about this, but there is some good stuff in here. So I do want to
Yeah,
like shout out
exactly.
some of the good things we did see, and then after that, because we are just mere days away from the Switch 2, it's going to be last time to throw out some Nintendo Switch 2 predictions, and we're going to
Yeah,
those. So,
of course.
Tom Drew, favorite announcement from this direct.
He did joke about it, but I think it was the Tomodachi Life like new game. I think it looks kind of fun. I I'm a sucker for like these. I mean, we even talked about it on the stream, but like I'm a sucker for these like Animal Crossing like games, but I never like take a dive into it. Tomodachi Life was one of those games on the 3DS that I really wanted to play, but I just never got around to it. But it just looked so like it was just cursed. Like the whole thing was just crazy. You could like put your Mii's in the game and then you could like make them dance in like a concert and make your own songs. I've seen someone like make like songs from Brat by Charlie XCX like in Tomodachi Life and have the Mii sing. And it's like stupid, goofy fun. So having like a new entry into that, like it might I don't think it's gonna light the world on fire by any means, but I think it's a interesting idea. I kind of like that they're able to go back to these franchises and just kind of have fun with it. It is still weird to me that if this is just like a Switch game, like I said, like it is weird to me that it is just a Switch game. And that's even more so the fact because it is coming out in 2026 apparently. Which is just kind of crazy, but I'll play it. I think it looks fun.
Yeah, I think that one was the I'm never going to play this game, but I am just incredibly fascinated by just its existence. I never thought we would see the Tomodachi Life name ever again. I didn't play it on 3DS. I didn't have a 3DS, so I couldn't. But it was just weird. The like the giant me and the dreams, and but it's Animal Crossing and they're all Mii's, and Mii's kind of make me uncomfortable as it is. Just their dead faces and weird proportions or just freak me out a little bit. I think for me, the biggest announcement of the whole thing, there were some like really cool things in here. Getting to see Metroid Prime 4. I don't know what I was expecting because it is just more Metroid Prime, but I'm very excited about that. The remake a couple of years ago, that was my first experience with that franchise. And I was hoping we were going to get 2 and 3 here, but we didn't. Got this peak. It looks really cool. Psychic powers, her purple suit, the red kind of suit we get at the very end looks really neat. And then I'll shout out Rhythm Heaven. I loved Rhythm Heaven on the Nintendo DS. That game had just had a hold on me unlike just about anything else. I can't believe that's coming back. I cannot believe we're getting another Rhythm Heaven game. I didn't think we would see that franchise again ever. And that's the beauty of the Nintendo Switch. There are so many of them out there. Nintendo's like, they'll buy anything. It doesn't matter. Like we can Rhythm Heaven, sure. Tomodachi Life, let's go. 2026 though. I was a little shocked by both Tomodachi and Rhythm Heaven. I would say the two new Nintendo announcements here. Very shocking. And the other thing that shocked me, Tom, I've been reading into this a little bit because when it popped up, I was like, oh, were these games actually published by this person? We're getting some classic Japanese PlayStation games on the Nintendo Switch. The Patapon games being published, both of them being published by Bandai Namco. Patapon games and the Everybody's Golf, or a new Everybody's Golf, it seems, coming to Nintendo Switch. Some legacy, I guess, Japanese titles from PlayStation in some sort of partnership with Bandai Namco. A little bit shocking.
Yeah, it is. Like I joked that maybe this means The Last of Us is eventually going to come to the Switch. That's probably not going to happen. But yeah, it is interesting to see these franchises that you would associate with PlayStation come over to the Switch. I'm glad they're coming. Like I think I've never played either of these, but I've always wanted to. I've always wanted to play Patapon. Like the art style looks really cool and the gameplay looks like really cute. So I probably will try this. And Everybody's Golf like is just it's just a
I love Everybody's Golf.
I really
I
want
got
to try
really
it. Like
excited.
I do love golfing games, which I'll talk about later in the show. But it's such a weird franchise to bring back. Like I guess Rhythm Heaven, but very beloved by some fans. So yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's a really cool thing. But yeah, and speaking of revive franchises, the fact that Rhythm Heaven is coming back, like I've not really like dabbled that much into that franchise, but the fact that it's back for those fans, I think is just like amazing. I hope that they release some of those like the past games. I don't see how it would be too like difficult to bring back a lot of them. But yeah, just glad that the franchise is back. Glad that Nintendo's not neglecting those kind of franchises, which I don't think they necessarily were in the Switch era, but it's just nice to know that they're still looking after those things and dusting off the cobwebs.
Does this make it more or less likely that the Choir Boys come to the next Smash game?
I think they've got a shot. I think they could maybe be if the next Smash game is like starting from the ground up. Maybe the Choir Boys are part of like the main roster, and then it just builds from there. I think that'd be really cool.
I'm into that. I don't know if you saw Sakurai this week when they announced the direct. He just posted an eye emoji, and I'm the Smash community, as you could probably expect, took it very rationally.
Oh god, yeah. Well, that's actually crazy. He knows what he's doing. He does know what he's doing.
He does. He replied and said, "Can't I just tweet anymore?" It's just like, dude, like
Dude, come on.
you know who you are.
Yeah.
Tom, before we move to your news story, I just want to ask you, we are at this point of recording just a couple of days away from the Switch 2 announcement. When this goes up, you got to join us. We're going to be doing a live reaction of the Switch 2. It's going to be bright and early for me and Lauren, so we're going to be bleary-eyed and delirious, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic. But I want to ask you, this is the last time we can get these predictions off. What is the one announcement you think we are going to see at the show, and the number one announcement you want to see at the show?
Oh. That is tough. Number one I think we're gonna see is a 3D Mario. I think it's time. I think they are probably gonna open the show with Mario Kart because it's a known quantity. We know it's coming, and they'll dive into that a bit more. But I think they'll probably end it with 3D Mario, just because like it has been so long since Odyssey. Uh, it's time. I feel like it's tough to say whether it's like it could come at the end of the year just because of the GTA factor. But I think Mario it
It
carves
doesn't
enough of a
matter.
niche. Yeah, it carves of enough of a niche. It's like it's not gonna interfere. Um, so I think that would be really exciting. I don't know what form that takes, whether that's Galaxy 3 or Odyssey 2 or just
Sunshine
completely new
2.
thing. Sunshine 2 maybe that go back to the hotel. Um, I don't really know, but the thing that I would most want to see, and I think I predicted that this would be there, but I still don't. I don't know if I really believe that myself. Is it like a new Animal Crossing? I think like I am desperate to, and maybe that's why Tomodachi Life got me so like excited. I just really, really need a new Animal Crossing in my life. So if they brought that, and kind of just built on all of the features of New Horizons, that would get me really excited. But what about you? What do you expect, and what do you hope for?
What I'm expecting, we're getting Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. I don't care. It's happening.
Yeah.
I expect it to be there. It is going to happen, and I'm very excited to play those games. I've been holding off on playing them because I want to play them on the Switch on my big TV. What I want to be there, we've talked about, Ocarina of Time remake. Would be pretty cool. Tom, you want to know what else it's time for? Mother 3 in a
Oh
HD
shoot!
2D kind of style.
Oh my god,
Finally coming to the West.
that would be wild. That would be wild if it actually does happen. And like an HD 2D for the Mother series in general, I think would just look gorgeous just from like the
I don't know if it
environment.
would be HD 2D. I think they could also probably take like they did with Link's Awakening kind of route
Sure.
with a Mother 3. I just mean like not just, hey, you guys, here you go. Here's the GBA version. I think if they're going to release it, it's going to have some sort of new art style. It's going to be
Hmm.
quote unquote remade. I guess like it never came out here, so do you call it? Yeah, it would be a remake. I
Yeah.
think that we're going to get like a remade version of Mother 3 finally in the West for the first time.
That would be cool. I mean, what if it's one of those situations? I don't think Nintendo would necessarily do this, but like the recent Tomb Raider collections have had it where you can like switch between the original PS1 graphics and then the like HD one. Maybe it's the situation with that. It's like you can switch between the pixel art and
That'd be cool.
the
That'd be
rendered art.
really cool. Nintendo's done not quite like that, but like dipping their toe in that pool with like the Thousand Year Door remake that you now have on Nintendo Switch, Tom, and I can't wait for you to play. You can
Yeah.
like unlock the GameCube music and switch between those. So
Oh
it
yeah.
isn't like it's not entirely different. But yeah, Mother 3, I think we get Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. I'm very
Yeah.
much looking forward to those. Can't wait. Just a couple of days away. Nintendo Switch 2, we're going to be live reacting to it over on our YouTube channel, 6 a.m. Pacific time, Wednesday, April 2nd.
Strap
Cannot wait.
in.
Tom, what's your news story for this week?
Yes, I'm talking about a another kind of surprising announcement. But it's one that we've kind of talked about in recent weeks. Warner Brothers, and how Hogwarts Legacy has cancelled its DLC plans. And this comes from Jason Schreier at Bloomberg. Warner Brothers Discovery Inc. cancelled a planned expansion for its popular Hogwarts Legacy title as part of an ongoing restructuring at the entertainment company's video game unit, according to people familiar. The expansion, which would have added new storylines to the original game, had been planned for release this year alongside a, quote, definitive edition with all of the content. The plans weren't publicly announced, but were reported last year by Bloomberg. A spokesperson for Warner Brothers declined to comment. Warner cancelled the project this week in part due to concerns that the amount of content was not substantial enough to justify the price being considered, said the people familiar, speaking anonymously because they were not authorized to talk to the press. A sequel is still in development at Salt Lake City, Utah-based Avalanche Software, the Warner Brothers subsidiary that developed the first game. Avalanche was working on the planned expansion with London-based Rocksteady Studios, which developed last year's failed Suicide Squad game. Part of the plan was to restore a storyline tied to one of the original game's companions that was cut during development, the people said. So kind of even more surprising news from Warner Bros. Maybe not surprising given the way they are kind of chopping and changing their approach to games and that sort of thing. But I was kind of shocked that this was happening, and for the reasoning as well, the fact that they didn't have enough for how much they wanted to charge for it. Maybe they could have charged less. I don't know. I guess the profit margins wouldn't have allowed for that. But Klein, what do you make of this whole Hogwarts Legacy situation and what it means for like they're still working a sequel and now we're not getting a DLC? What do you think about it all?
This to me felt like the one surefire thing that would come out of Warner Brothers. We've had recent, the headlines of Wonder Woman and Monolith getting shut down. I thought this was the surefire thing. Hogwarts Legacy was so big. It was the biggest game that it completely changed, I think, the strategy of that Warner Brothers games is going to move forward with. And so when they said, okay, DLC is coming and there's a definitive edition happening, I thought, yeah, for sure. That's going to see the light of day 100%. This thing's going to continue to print money. And the fact that they looked at it, said, no, thank you, I think that this means we get a Hogwarts Legacy 2 sooner than some people would have thought. They are going to try and get a sequel out as fast as they possibly can because this is their cash cow now. This is the bridge in which you build upon the foundation which you build upon the future of Warner Brothers games at this point, because everything else hasn't been working. It has Suicide Squad failed. The Warner Brothers, or not Warner Brothers, what am I talking about? The Wonder Woman game canceled. The latest Mortal Kombat didn't reach expectations. Hogwarts Legacy is the only W that you have in your pocket right now. So it really must have not been up to snuff. And we are now moving on. There will be Hogwarts Legacy sequels until the end of time now. And that's what Warner Brothers is going to do until they sell like Ubisoft did today. This is not a new story we're talking about, but Ubisoft has like a shell company that is just Assassin's Creed and Rainbow Six and Far Cry, and that's owned by Tencent, and then the rest of Ubisoft is doing its own thing separately. I don't know. I think that there is probably a situation in which Warner Brothers eventually gets into that as well, but this is surprising to me that Hogwarts Legacy, anything, is getting the cut.
Yeah, the one success that they did have these past couple of years and they don't try to capitalize on that is just kind of bizarre to me. I mean, like, it is weird as well because, like, yeah, when this game was successful, they were like, yeah, this game was great, so we're gonna double down on like live service stuff, which didn't make sense obviously because this isn't a live service game. But like, and I'm not saying they should have done this, but they could have almost gone that sort of way where they were like, okay, we're gonna like release this DLC as like a season pass sort of thing, which is like and make it turn it into like a live service sort of thing. Um, but I mean, I guess maybe they didn't have enough DLC to justify it. But even like costumes, I mean, I know these things obviously take time. Um, it is strange to me that yeah they didn't want to take this thing further other than the sequel. It reminds me of like Spider-Man 2, which I really enjoyed as a game. I did find kind of surprising that they didn't or haven't done DLC up to this point. They did like additional costumes and like free updates and that sort of thing. But it was interesting that they didn't do DLC for that game when they did for the first game, and kind of try to keep that ball rolling. So yeah, I'm sure like when the Hogwarts Legacy 2, the Harry Potter IP is just too big to let a game like that fail, I suppose. But it does feel like the momentum is like kind of being lost, and it just makes me question Warner Brothers even more. I don't really know what they're doing. And it is interesting that also that this report says that Rocksteady was also helping with this DLC. I wonder what that means for what they're working on. I mean, the other Bloomberg report said that they were potentially having like early stages on a new Batman game. So I'm sure not everyone was just working on this Hogwarts Legacy. I'm sure there's kind of like a split sort of situation, but just bizarre, just a really bizarre situation, I think.
I think that we're in a completely different time when it comes to DLC now, right? The things that sell when it comes to expansions and additional content, it isn't what Spider-Man 1 did. I don't know if they got the return on investment there. These chapters, smaller, kind of added missions that we used to get all the time in the PS3, Xbox 360 day and age it doesn't work that way anymore. It has to be Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree, where it's an entire that's like a whole new game inside a game. So even if this was a sizable experience, it had to have been really, really massive and like earth shattering for Warner Brothers to justify even putting it out. And so for them to look at it and go, nope, this is another city never sleeps, in to keep up the Spider-Man metaphor. We wanted to charge $40 an episode or whatever. It's not going to work. It'd be better if we just get rid of it, draw down the costs, like reduce our tax burden or whatever, like Warner Brothers has been known to do over the last little bit. And I think that's just the reality. When's the last time you bought any like DLC that wasn't a new Street Fighter character? Right?
Yeah, that's true.
For me, I think it was Spider-Man 1, and that's 2018. So
Yeah.
it's been a little bit.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, like, if they decided, like, okay, we're gonna cancel this. It makes me wonder, and like, the talk of them being like live service, like, still, like, I think it's still a good idea. I wonder how this impacts Hogwarts Legacy 2. I wonder if they are, rather than it being a single player experience like the first game was, and everyone seemed to like that. What if they're now thinking like, how can we turn this long term? How can we make this game a
Hogwarts Legacy
Destiny?
2 is an MMO.
Yeah, maybe it's like an Elder Scrolls Online situation. I mean, you could do that, I guess, with like different years at the school and that sort of thing. Whether that they can keep up the quality of that, I don't really know. But and whether people even like that idea, I'm not really sure. Because but turning that game into a forever game in an exec's eyes, I think like makes a lot of sense. So I
Either
just
way,
worry.
no matter what happens with this sequel, Hogwarts Legacy is a long ways away, and Warner Brothers
Yeah,
just
yeah,
canceled what was, I guess, in their mind, in their plans when they greenlit it, supposed to be their next like big tentpole, which was Wonder Woman. The Warner Brothers games catalog right now, the slate is looking very bare. They don't have a lot going on. Hogwarts Legacy 2 is probably that next game, and that's 4, maybe 3 years away, maybe. Like, that's dire because, yeah, as I said, Mortal Kombat didn't hit. Suicide Squad wasn't the everlasting gobstopper they thought it was going to be. That's scary. If you're at Warner Brothers Games, or if you're at one of those studios, that is scary because, yeah, Hogwarts Legacy 2, whatever whatever Rocksteady is looking at and working on, all of that is a very long ways away still.
yeah, it really is. And like looking at it like even further out, like Harry Potter as a franchise is like super dormant as is as well. I mean, I know we're
Making a
getting the
TV
HBO
show.
show.
What are you talking about?
We are getting a TV show. I don't know how it's going to turn out, to be honest. But we won't get into that. But like I feel like if you have this like massive franchise, it's just kind of crazy to me that they aren't capitalizing and trying to give fans of it more content. Obviously, you have like the parks and that sort of thing. You have like a Amazon Prime show where the Weasley twins are on it, and it's like a reality thing. But like you don't have these like core new stories.
What you're asking for is the Harry Potter Battle Royale. 100 wizards drop on an island and have to spell sling at each other.
I mean, maybe that's what they do. Maybe they just add them to Fortnite. I don't know. Maybe that's what I'm asking for. I don't know. It's just bizarre to me. We'll see. We'll see if this even works out for them.
We'll see. That is
Yeah,
the like MO at Warner Brothers right now. We will see because we
yeah,
really don't know what they're cooking up. I think that's
mhm,
it for the news, Tom.
yeah.
Let's get out of here. Give us that news outro.
It's the news we choose. Yeah,
And we jump over to a monthly segment that I just love doing, our New Game Plus Video Game Book Club, game or games, in this case, of the month. For the month of March, we have been playing our 2024 hindsight games. If you did not know, at the end of last year, we did our annual Game Awards episode, and we usually do a hindsight game, a game that we missed in the year, or in whatever respective year, 2024 in this case, that we wish we had gone back and or wish we had played in the year. So we thought, you know what? Let's turn it into content. Let's make it happen. So we each picked the game that we did or didn't play last year, and decided to do it for the month of March. I've been playing mine for 3 months. I'm still not done mine. I will just very quickly say the 3 games were Metaphor ReFantazio for me, Tom Drew's been playing Prince of Persia The Lost Crown, and Lauren has been playing Balatro. We will start with you, Tom. Prince of Persia The Lost Crown, as I said when I recorded, a little peek behind the curtain, when I recorded a couple days ago with Lauren to do her Balatro segment, this is you presenting to the class. This is you doing your book report. So I'm handing you the microphone. Take it away. Tell me a little bit about Prince of Persia.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to my book report on Prince of Persia: Last Quran. I'm going to start off by saying, look, I didn't do all my homework. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't finish the game. Not because I didn't like it. I just ran out of time. I know that's crazy because we're going to talk about a game that Klein spent 30 hours in. So I do feel really bad. Like, I did really try to get through it all. It just didn't work out. I was in Florida. I didn't have my PlayStation with me. So I just couldn't finish the game. But let's get into the book report. First of all, I just want to say, like, coming into this, I was really excited because Klein has been singing this game's praises for ages.
This game is
I
16 hours, by the way. I just want to make
I know,
that very
yeah.
clear.
Just to be clear, yeah, I put in like 9, so I'm like over halfway. I'm halfway. I feel the judgment from Klein right now, being like,
No.
this freaking guy,
No judgment
this
here, Tom.
freaking guy. But yeah, I've been getting more into like Metroidvanias over the past couple of years. Metroid Dread really like lit a fire in me. Went on to play Hollow Knight, wanted to play Ori, just wanting to try as many Metroidvanias as possible because they are really fun when I get into them. And like I said, I played 9 hours of it, but I feel like this is a really good one. Like, it is really damn good. I think Prince of Persia does so much of what you just love from a typical Metroidvania, but it elevates it on things that I just didn't expect that it would necessarily. I think the mode of exploration. I guess I should explain what the game is as well. For first of all, Prince of Persia: Lost Crown is a Metroidvania take on the Prince of Persia franchise. You have your traditional kind of 3D platformer action adventure games. This is taking all of that with a new protagonist, Sargon, who has to rescue Princess Anne in this kind of a big mountain, I guess. You're thrust into this kind of time warpy kind of thing where everything's kind of weird, but you're just making your way through this kind of mountain essentially, and just trying to explore as much as possible and find the prince. Essentially, he's the Prince of Persia. And along the way, you collect new abilities which help your kind of mobility around your environment. You explore new things. You fight bosses, and it's a lot of fun. It is basically if you're familiar with Metroidvanias, it's basically you'll be very familiar with what you find in Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. But yeah, like I said, what I really liked about it is that it elevated on things that I just didn't think or expect it to. The big thing I did expect going into this is that the exploration is a lot. I found it a lot friendlier than other Metroidvanias, and that's because you can basically essentially take screenshots of different areas of the game, of the map, and put them onto your map so that you can more easily remember certain locations, certain places where you need to return to if like with new abilities, which I found to be a big struggle in Metroidvanias up to this point. I I get lost super easily in these, and that's always kind of a thing that I get a little bit frustrated with sometimes. But this I found, when I remembered to use the photo mode thing, it was super helpful because like once I got a new ability, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna look of the screenshots that I have and see, can I use this here? Can I use this here? Can I use this here? Um, and it was just super seamless and super fun. and uh, and yeah, and so that was one like aspect that I thought was stellar. But then the other thing that kind of I wasn't expecting to be as kind of polished as it was in this is the combat. The combat in Metroidvanias can range. I feel like um, in Hollow Knight, for example, you are mostly just pressing A, like to chip away at enemies. In this, Sargon has a lot at his disposal. You basically have like a Smash Bros esque kind of move set. Like you can hit down, you can hit to the side, and it, like you can your the directions that you move Sargon in. Uh, it impacts what how you impact enemies, and you can like knock people into the air. And like the way it just builds on that, I thought was really smart because it made me really approach enemies differently. Because you some it's better to counter, some it's better to dodge them. There's just a lot of depth within that I thought um, was really cool, and there's different finishes as well that you can unlock in the game, which change things up a little bit. So I thought the combat was really fun. It is hard as hell. Like I got my ass beat a lot, um, but when the combat hits, it's really good. I don't know if there's anything you have to say, Klein, on anything I've just kind of rambled on about for a bit now, but yeah, any thoughts, queries so far?
No, I think that everything you said is kind of where my head was at when I played it, I guess over a year ago when it came out. And for me, it was the combat was what really like won me over and won me into thinking I think that this is maybe the best Metroidvania I've ever played, because I love that formula of that lock and key of, oh, I can't get up there, and then you go find a grapple move and can come back and do it. But a lot of those games for me were missing that like that deeper combat. I love Super Metroid. I think that's probably my favorite before this, but that does ultimately come down to like, okay, I am shooting my blaster at these enemies. This, it is, as you said, it's a smash move set essentially. Like you have all these combos and all these moves you can use, and every item you unlock, I found had some sort of utility both in the world and in combat scenarios, which I think is just fantastic. But yeah, I'm glad that you enjoyed what you have played.
Yeah, yeah. We'll get to whether I'll finish it after all the points here. But yeah, I just think like the abilities in tandem with the combat have been like they've just been super rewarding. Like you get the most recent one I got was basically you can open a rift in space, and if you use it against enemies or near items, you can basically like pocket it. It's basically like to use another Smash Brothers analogy, like Villager in Smash Brothers. He can use an ability where he like picks up a projectile or picks up something and then pockets it and uses it against other enemies later on. And you basically just do the same thing here with Sargon. And like that has been, it just opens up so many new avenues when you open like up just this one small ability. And I think that's like the really clever thing about it is that they get so creative by adding just one little wrinkle. It just opens up, yeah, like I said, like all new abilities. Um, and staying on the good. Yeah, I keep talking about the combat that goes into the boss battles, which are just like so good. I mean, like, I've only done a couple so far. They are very difficult. I found. I think that's just how I am as a gamer. I just get really frustrated. I'm not great at boss battles a lot of the time, but when you do get the rhythm down, um, recognize enemies like tells, and you can kind of predict what they're gonna do. It's like super satisfying when you take them down. I just fought against I think her name's Kiana. She's the like woman on the big wolf. And she's like super fun to play against because you're fighting not only her but the wolf as well, and they can fight like kind of separately. So like the wolf will be doing one thing, she'll be like throwing spear at you. So there's a lot to kind of manage because you're having to parry one attack, dodge another one. She sends you into like this shadow realm at one point, and like multiples of her. You keep having to block her. Um, they're just really fun and creative. I've really enjoyed them. They're super well designed. Did you feel similar about the boss fights when you played through it?
Yeah, oh yeah. It's I compared it to Souls, I think, when I first
Yeah,
played it. I remember playing the preview that Ubisoft let us do, and the first two bosses, whereas one's kind of this big pig, and then the
yeah.
other is this chimera thing with the scorpion tail, and both of them I had the like PR person like cheering me on because you get your ass handed to you. It's so hard. And then you finally it felt very soulsy and it felt like very from software. I finally did it. It never got that hard. And I think that they did a great job accessibility wise in this game of you can tune that experience. You can make it so if you want, you can do 200% like damage and they do not like you can adjust it however you want that like that experience to be for you. And I think that that is like such a great thing because for me, I wanted that challenge. I wanted to feel that satisfaction. But then for other people, I don't think that that is for everyone. Maybe some people want to go in there and just they want to feel that they want to feel like the Prince of Persia. They want to feel like that badass and just come in and wreck shop. So I did really like the challenge, but I appreciate that if you wanted, you can kind of tune it a little bit to your liking.
Yeah, I didn't use any of these accessibility like features, or I haven't at the moment. But I really appreciate that they're there. Like, I think it's super nice that they can make these games really accessible. Like, because yeah, they are really hard, but also at the same time, I feel like they still are fair. I feel like with Souls games, there is a certain level of fairness, but there's also a certain level of unfairness to them. With the thing I like about Metroidvanias is that you can predict those tells. You can like see what an enemy does, like an animation, and then and kind of predict what they're going to do. And then once you've got that down, like it becomes a really cool dance of fighting these bosses. You can obviously do it with Souls too. I'm sure. I'm just a terrible gamer. But yeah, I really liked the kind of balance there. I thought it was really cool. Um, but yeah, just I think staying on the good for now. Like, I think the platforming is also just really good. The thing I love about Metroidvanias in general is how characters move and how it only feels better and better to play as these characters as you get more abilities. And that's no different here. Like, when you get like your basically your dash attack or your dash move, and you're like allowed to sprint as Sargon and dodge things, and wall jump across things, and wall jump not just between walls, but wall jump on the same wall. Um, it's just like super fun to move around, and that kind of goes into like there are like platforming challenges that you can do at certain points, and they can get really tricky. They don't make it easy for you a lot of the time. And most of the time they'll reset you right to the beginning of the challenge, so you have to get through all of it. But they are really addictive, and it's one of those things where I'm like very stubborn in those, and I'm like, I don't have to do this, but I have to do this for myself. But yeah, I think it just feels so good to play as Sargon in general, from the combat and as well as the platforming. I think um, he just moves super well. I thought.
There's one platforming challenge in particular that it's one of those rooms you haven't gotten there because you don't have all the abilities, but it's an added room, and it is my proudest gaming achievement that I beat it. And when you finish it, you get a freaking shirt, and it's just like, who did this? Who did this? Ubisoft, I
Oh.
want to know. I want to talk to this guy because, or girl, or them, because it is just, yeah, it happened, and I finally did it, and I opened up that chest, and I got a purple outfit. It's like,
Oh no.
what did I just do? I just spent an hour trying to figure that out, but
Oh
platforming is
god.
really good.
Yeah, I feel like I will get to the point, and even knowing that it's just a purple costume that you get, I'm sure I'm still gonna do it. Like, I have to do it at this point. Um, and yeah, I think the main other thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of the good, like, is just the art style. I think this game looks gorgeous, top to bottom. From the like character portraits that you have, when you're like even in dialogue, I think there's like some really cool lighting they do. But even like, uh, the finishes that I mentioned with Sargon, like he'll do like a little dash ahead with some of them, but they'll like do this really cool zoom in where like you see like Sargon like screaming, and he's got like neon lights going around him and like flames and all this sort of stuff. Um, I just think it's really, really sick, and I wonder. It makes me wonder what they're gonna do in terms of art style with the remake that they're doing. Whether it's gonna be like veering more photorealistic or more like this, where it's more stylized. But I kind of do hope that they do like a more stylized thing like this because I think it really pays off. I think the game, uh, it's not like the most kind of I wouldn't say it's the most like high fidelity thing necessarily, but that doesn't matter because the game's art style just looks really gorgeous. Like the character designs look great. Sargon's just a really cool looking dude. Yeah, I just thought like visually, from a visual standpoint, the game looks just beautiful.
What did you play on?
I play on PS5.
Okay.
Yeah, which
Cool.
is
I
why
was wondering
I didn't
if you
finish it.
did Switch because I'd like to know. I haven't played on Switch. I've heard it runs fine and looks
Yeah.
great on Switch as well. So that's good news.
Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, I didn't play on Switch. I kind of regret not playing on Switch now because if I had played on Switch, I probably would have finished it. But yeah. That aside, um, there is some not bad. I just things that I wish were a little bit better with the game. The first one is I basically just more of it's just more of a me problem.
Just needs to get better at games, Tom.
I think I just need to get good. I did still get lost quite a lot. um, and I think that's natural in Metroidvanias. And I think it is again. It is just a me problem. But there was a certain point in the story where it's like, okay, you have gotten to a certain point. Now you just need to find two things, and then you can progress. And it took me a really long time trying to find where I was supposed to go because each path I would take, it seemed like I needed a specific ability to get through them, and I just was really struggling to find where it needs to go. Eventually, I did do it. I ended up not even needing to look up a guide. I just like happened to find it eventually. Um, but yeah, the game is very big, so there's a lot to explore. There are like fast travel points that you unlock eventually.
Now
Um,
they weren't there when I played it.
really?
That's an update. Yeah.
Wow, that is actually kind of insane. That's I mean that's good to know because yeah, I think without those um did you play the whole game through them without
Yep.
fast travel? Wow. That's I
I
mean, hats off to you because
100%ed the game
that is
without
wild.
fast travel.
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know if I could do that because the fast travel I've been using a lot just because it is very helpful getting around. But even then, it like the game is huge. The map is massive. I mean, um, it's similar to like like a Hollow Knight. In scale or like an Ori. Like there's just so much to find, which is a positive. Like it's always exciting to be able to like um find a little nook and find a new challenge that you can do, like new like find some crystals. um but yeah, it is overwhelming, but I think that's just an issue for me with Metroidvanias in general. I got over it, I pulled up my bootstraps and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna power through it and try to find this thing, so it was fine. um but the other kind of, I'd say, weakness of the game, and maybe my opinions will change when I finish it, is that I think the story is a little underwhelming. I don't really connect to many of the characters other than Sargon. I don't think. I think Sargon's a really cool lead. He's just a cool, like I said, he's just a cool guy. But I don't really care too much about the ongoing narrative. I will say that I like the little storied segments where it kind of, like I said, the game plays around the time. This is a Prince of Persia game. So you have moments where you'll find characters who have been in this area for seemingly much longer than you have. They've experienced many years in this place and have kind of gone insane, essentially. So that creates some cool like tension and cool interplay. And there are also moments where I guess, slight spoilers for the game, but we're kind of spoiling the game anyway. But
Yeah.
you fight future versions of Sargon, at certain points in the game, which is really cool because you get this new perspective on Sargon as a character and where he, the eventual places that he could lead. And it's cool because not every interaction that you have um, is the same. Some Sargons are more sympathetic to you and kind of want to work with you, but then you still end up fighting and that sort of thing. And I thought that was really cool. But yeah, I would say that the overall narrative isn't really the thing that's hooking me. It's definitely more the exploration of this place, trying to get through every single challenge that comes across my table, I guess, and trying to get through this map. More so than the ongoing story. But did you feel similar at all, like in terms of the narrative?
I did. I
Or
think
did you?
the narrative started really strong in the first few hours. Basically,
Yeah,
like up until there's like a twist early on when one of your kind of crew betrays you. And that for me was like, oh, I've never seen this kind of. Usually with Metroidvanias, especially for me, having played a lot of the Metroid side of that equation, it is pretty like you're stuck on this planet. There are space pirates, defeat the
yeah,
space pirates. And so to
Mhm.
have a twist like that happen, I was immediately, I remember that being the end of the press preview I played and going,
Yeah,
whoa, I have not experienced something like this in a Metroidvania. And then post that, it never reached that high again for me. I think towards the very end, if I can remember, there were moments that were for sure like, okay, we're kind of getting back there. But this was a to steal something from the like Giant Bomb World. I listen to that podcast quite a bit. This is a very dewy game for me. It
Mhm.
is I am playing the game as opposed to actually like experiencing the story. And it's just so much fun to to interact with those dewy things that I'm like, I don't care. Like, yeah, I'm here fighting a chimera. I don't really care why, but it is like so much fun doing it that it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think like that's the beauty of games. Like you don't need like a strong motivation or a strong story necessarily in a lot of these things because like if the game's fun enough, like that is enough. Like I feel like and that's like perfectly the example here. Like I feel like um the gameplay is so fun and like I just keep wanting to come back to it that yeah, like the fact that the story isn't like amazing, it's fine. It's completely fine. I think. Um, yeah, I think. Trying to think if there's anything else. I'm just looking through my notes
What are you
here.
gonna rate it? We got to give it a
What am I gonna
five-star
rate it?
rating.
Well, before I get to that, I do want to say just quickly going back to the combat. Like the way that it does feel like Smash Brothers, and you do different moves in different directions. It does make me wish that they could do like a Smash Brothers like Metroidvania or something along those lines where you are like changing up the movesets. And they have, we had Subspace Emissary, which is more like platformy, I guess. But I don't know. I think like that kind of using those characters in that kind of format, or like that, it could work. I don't know if that's something you think could work potentially.
Smaller
Maybe not with the
character
roster of Ultimate.
roster,
Yeah, with
and then do
Ultimate's
like,
roster, probably not.
yeah,
But
I could see
um,
it. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, so maybe there's a Smash Brothers Metroidvania potential in the future. But yeah, as for my rating, again, I haven't finished the game. I'm sorry. So I think for now I'm gonna say a 4 out of 5. Um, and I think but with potential to go up. I think once I see through this game, I do see myself like uh I see that ranking rising. But just because like I haven't finished it, I don't want to like rate it too high and then have to come back down. So I think like for now, I think a 4 out of 5, 4 out of 5 is where I'm at with it. I really like it. I would recommend this game. One, if you're a fan of Metroidvanias, obviously I would recommend this game because it is just like so much fun to play. But even if you're just like a casual Prince of Persia fan and you've been waiting for a new Prince of Persia game for a long time, it's not the gameplay style of those past games, but I don't think that matters. I think it's so much fun as is that you'll get a lot out of it. So I'd say give it a try. It is like on a lot of things. Like you said, it's on PlayStation, Switch. I think it's on Xbox for sure.
They announced today it's coming to mobile.
It's coming to Mope. I mean, look, if you got a good iPhone, give this game a shot. Like, I think it's really worth trying out. And the hype was well deserved. I think I'm really glad I've dipped my toes into it. And Klein was right. Klein was right the whole time. Is basically the kind of takeaway of this book report. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
Excellent. I love it. I'm glad you had fun, and rest in peace to this studio. I'm so sad we'll never get any more of this because they've been closed, and ugh, just the absolute worst. But we are going to jump into our own Mount Calf, I guess, kind of, and do our own little bit of time traveling and jump over to Lauren's book review, and then we'll get to me. Okay, now it is time for Lauren's New Game Plus, a game of the month. She has been playing Balatro all month long, missed it last year, decided to take the dive in this year. Lauren, you're presenting to the class here. It's book report time. Tom and I are doing it as well. What what did you think of initially Balatro? And can you explain to the audience, explain to the people listening, explain to the people watching, if they don't know, what is Balatro?
Yeah, so Balatro is a game that really kind of swept the popular sphere last year. Both you and Tom were talking about it a lot, and so was everybody else. I think by midway through, when we did our mid game of the year check-in last year, everyone's game was like Balatro, except for me, who didn't play. But essentially, it's a poker themed like roguelike, with I guess like deck building elements as well. And it was developed by this person, Local Thunk, who I believe is just one person, right? Just one
Yeah,
guy
one guy.
developed this entire game. And like, listen, the mechanics are easy enough, I think, for one person to do, but the creativity behind it is just phenomenal. And so it was released, I think, on pretty much all platforms. It's like playing poker. The mechanics are simple. The interface is simple, and yet it's just extremely satisfying. So coming into the game, when people are like, "Oh, poker games," I'm like, I don't play poker. Like, why would I be interested in this? But I had heard so many good things from everyone that I decided to see make it my hindsight game, and now I am being forced to play it. And I don't regret a second of it, because now I'm insanely addicted to Balatro, like you guys were all last year. It's just so elegant in its design, and replayable. I mean, it's a roguelike, but it does have that temptation to be like, just one more round, just one more, and I'll get it next time. Essentially, the thing that makes it different is like all your poker hands are like the same. The scoring works the same, but they are sort of scaled, and so like certain hands are worth more if you can get them together. Like things like, I think the top hand is a straight flush or something like that.
Royal
I don't know what
Flush,
to think. Royal
I think.
flush, where
I
it's
don't know.
all the suits are the same and all the numbers are in a row. Yeah, and then you can get the main thing you can get in between rounds are jokers, and the jokers have different powers to help you win certain hands or play towards certain hands. And also you can go to the shop and buy tarot cards and planet cards that will either like upgrade the cards in your deck to have special abilities or to upgrade the hands that you're playing. And you kind of, each round the blind gets bigger, so you have to basically score better each round. So you have to be really strategic around about how you're playing, which I was not at first. At first I just want to get all the cards in the same color, and it felt really good when that happened. And then I was just never winning. So it took a while to beat the game. Well, I need to beat the game, like to at least win once. But it really did. It did surprise me. I'm a sheep of the people. Like, if people enjoy it, I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it too. But I really did. So I know that you've played, and we've talked about it on the show while you were playing. But was your experience similar when you played?
It was very similar because I don't have any history with poker at all. I've done like, I don't know. We've had like card nights and stuff with friends over the years, but I'm not very good at it. I don't really understand it. This game is such a great way. It kind of wiggles its way into your brain and kind of like Trojan horses its way through poker, because it's like, yeah, it's poker, but it's ultimately just like it's a deck building roguelike. It's Slay the
Mm.
Spire. It's like there's Monster Train's another one that I really liked, and I love those games. And so once you realize, oh, like that's all I'm doing here. Yeah, I'm playing poker hands, but like I'm just building a cool deck that can like combo off of itself. And once you really start to like open up the hood and like see the layers of the game is when it's like, oh, like this is, I can play this forever. Because at first, just like you said, it's like I oh, I have a straight, I have a pair, I have like, let's
Yeah.
just do this. And then you start to realize the strategy of like, oh, I can get these cool different jokers that can pair with each other, and depending on the order that I have them in, it will like completely change the game. And so once you like fully realize that, it's like, oh my god, like this is so satisfying, and everything in the game is built to be satisfying. Even just like, I love the sound. I can hear it in my head that like when it's counting and when it starts to speed up, when the numbers get bigger and bigger and bigger because you've done so well, you're just like, it nothing feels better in gaming.
Yeah.
Like it just is like, it's so immensely satisfying. I'm I am continually just like blown away that this was made by one person. And it was made as like I'm going to make a game to see if I can teach people how to play poker, as just like a
Yeah.
fun
Okay.
thing that that local thunk did. And it's now huge. He never has to work again. Like it's life changing, probably. I almost definitely. I love it. We've talked about it at length on this podcast before, but I'm excited. I was worried it might not jive with you because like
Hmm.
I just haven't. I know you've done like the Hades thing on the roguelike
Yeah.
side of things, but like I haven't heard you talk too much about these kind of games, and so I was wondering if it would hit you as hard as it hit some other people, and I'm glad that it did. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think because it's like two factors. Like I mean, I was never really a big roguelike player, but I do enjoy Hades. I did enjoy Cult of the Lamb. So those kind of games speak to me. And then there's also the card game thing, which is like, I like Solitaire. I like Marvel Snap. I don't always delve into like card games, but putting those two things together really did work for me in that it's like, yeah, the deck building part, the card part, the mental sort of like, because this is kind of a bit of a brain game when you're like figuring out which hands to play, and you are kind of gambling, but only like not with any money, but with like just your chances on things. Um, so that's great. It is a double-edged sword, I think, the gambling part of it, because um kind of sometimes you can play strategic, but only to a point where it's like a lot of the game is kind of luck, which is poker at the end of the day. But if you are just trying to win the game, that can make it really difficult because you're like reliant on the cards that you're dealt. So I think that's maybe one area that I could see it annoying people, where it's just like I just can't win because I'm not getting the right cards, and no matter how many jokers I've played, like it just doesn't work sometimes. I think that's not a problem for me. Like if I lose, I lose. I start again because the loop is so satisfying that I don't mind starting from the beginning again because it's like, oh, I'll just try something different next time. Um, that being said, I did have to Google how to win, because I just couldn't get there by myself. And so I looked up some tips and things like that on what I should be doing. And in the end, that is what helped me get to the end one round. And there is that like they've constructed it well in that when you lose or when you win, you get like perks, like you get new cards or you unlock new things. So like there is like a satisfying hook to play again. Hades does the same thing. Cult of the Lamb does the same thing. That is the source of a good roguelike. But yeah, I think there is part of it that could be a part of it of the difficulty factor that's attributed to luck that could be a turnoff for some people. It wasn't for me though.
Yeah, I'm with you that it is confusing, but there is a strategy, and once you kind of figure it out, you have a much better chance of like really going far, but it's not a guarantee. Like the big thing is like pick a hand from the beginning, or like you may have to change, but like pick a single hand and just like level it up as you're going, because like
Yeah.
the planet cards level it up. Do everything you can to the deck that you have to like try and like really put a focus on that hand. Like I really like flushes. I do a lot of those, where it's just all the same.
Interesting.
All so then you if you get like, or all the same, what am I looking for, suit, and then you can get like jokers where there's some runs where you get like halfway through and you're like, I just haven't gotten the joker I need to make what I'm doing work. It's not going to happen today. But then there's other times where it's like, okay, now I have a joker going where all red cards and all black cards are considered like, so I guess diamonds and um diamonds and hearts are considered the same suit, and clubs and spades are considered the same suit. And I'm also pairing that with like a thing that for every time I've played the same hand, it's upping the multiplier by 0.1, and it just like keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And maybe I also have a joker that's like, okay, now flushes flushes and straights can be made with only 4 cards. And then you're like, okay, now I have the like kit, I guess you would call it, in a game like Fortnite or whatever, to like really get far and really push deep into this run. And I think that's like that comes with any roguelike is you are learning the language. Like every loss isn't a loss. It is just a like you're winning knowledge. You are slowly learning about what works and doesn't work. And yes, some people may have to Google to find tips and things like that. But a lot of that knowledge is eventually, if you hit your head against the wall enough in this game, you will start to like pick up, okay, I need to maybe focus on this. And I'm not even very good at it. I haven't completely 100% of the game, but I've won a few times. I think all of the base decks and a few of the decks you unlock after I've won at least once with. But like there's some people, go watch videos of some of the like, because it will keep going after you finish and you can go endless mode. And the numbers that people get to it's I don't know how they get there, where that you look at their hand and it's just all like King of Hearts. That's just all the hand is. And you're like, how the entire deck is 1 card. I'm like, how did you get to this point? And I think that that's really cool that even somebody like me who can finish the game and really appreciate the game and think I'm pretty good at it, I'm nowhere near the skill ceiling. Like there's people who are like have the brain power to make this happen that I just simply do not.
Mm. Yeah, and that's what will make it last forever, essentially. Like I can't see a world where they do like a Balatro 2. I don't know what you could do. Like you could definitely add, I think, more cards progressively to the game to make it like give it longevity. But I don't know if you need to. It's simple and effective in the form that it's in, and you can just like I like that you can just pick it up for as long as you need to and put it down and come back to it, and that it's always there and that you know what you're going to get. It's definitely become one of those games where it's like, I can play around before bed, or I can put on the TV and play in the background, or I can like play on the bus or something like that. And I really appreciate that. So yeah, it's definitely one of those games that I'm not going to get rid of anytime soon. And I think also like the sounds that you mentioned and the music, they're all really great, but they're also like, you don't have to have them like on. So that's very effective. Like I was listening to podcasts a lot while I was playing, and I love games that let me do that. Like that's Animal Crossing as well for me, where it's like the music and the sound is really great, but I also don't have to have it on to enjoy the experience. That being said, the fire sound is awesome. When you get the fire going, it's amazing. It's so satisfying.
I think the entire soundtrack of this game was made by somebody that Local Thunk found on the website Fiverr.
Cool.
Which is like crazy to me that I hope they got a cut. Like I hope that they also never have to work again. Because I do really like the soundtrack, but it's something, yeah, this is like a meditative experience. Like you don't really have to, it can be that thing that you are just feeling and not necessarily like really experiencing with all of your senses.
Yeah, I agree. I was trying to think of like any negatives that I had, apart from like potentially the difficulty factor, which wasn't a thing for me, except that I had to like go
because you're good
Google
at
it, but that
games,
was my
Lauren.
choice.
Just admit it. You're really good at games.
I claim I'm no good at any games. The only thing I would have liked is maybe an option to undo some of the choices you make. Like if I've just bought something in the shop and I'm like, wait, I actually don't want that anymore. Give me the option to undo it in that moment. And also, the only other like small gripe I had was that I would sometimes forget to look at the boss blind. So basically you have like 3 rounds each leading up to a boss blind, which is like a boss battle, and that round will have some kind of like inhibitor. So it might be that like all clubs are debuffed this round. And I was like, oh, I should keep that in mind when I'm in the shop. But sometimes I forget. And so I would just like to be able to see the boss blind. Is that an option? Have I missed it somewhere?
No,
Okay.
it's not. I never even look ahead when I'm playing at all. I get there and I'm like, oh no, my flush strategy, and it's
Yeah,
saying no, you
exactly.
can only play one hand, or all like the worst is when you've invested in specifically the flush, and I've got all these heart cards or whatever. I've changed all the black cards to
Yeah.
diamonds or hearts, and it's like all heart cards are debuffed, and you're like, I'm just gonna lose. This wasn't the one.
Yeah. So yeah, and you need to usually try and play towards that. It's one of the tips from the game. So I think because you can sometimes there is a voucher, you get vouchers in the shop, and I think then one of them is like re-roll the boss blind. So if I knew that was coming up and I was playing a flush hand, it's like, all right, I'll buy the voucher or I'll save up for it next time. So yeah, just I think like a small pop-up where you could be like see what it was would be useful, but like that is like the smallest nitpick in the pile of nitpicks. So yeah, there's really not much to dislike about the game. It is what it is. It's very satisfying. It's very stimulating. It's very creative. And I had a really good time with it.
Does it change your opinion on your 2024 Game of the Year pick?
No. It's
No?
very good. It's up there. It's probably my top 3, but my pick remains the same, which was Helldivers.
Do you have anything else that you want to mention here, or are we ready to give this a rating?
I didn't even think about what to rate it. But yeah, I don't think I have anything to add. So unless you do, unless you want to bring anything up.
No, this is I'm gonna have plenty of time to talk about metaphor. So you go ahead. What would you give this out of 5?
I think it's getting 5 out of 5 because,
You
like I
heard it.
said, there's really not much to complain about.
Put it on the box. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Lauren. And yeah, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Okay. Thank you so much, Pass, Klein, and Lauren. Glad she enjoyed it. 5 out of
Yeah,
5
wow.
stars, Tom. You like Balatro? You like Balatro?
Whoa. Yeah, I do like Balatro. Should give it a 5 out of 5? I mean,
I guess,
yeah,
yeah,
of
you
course
haven't
we
listened
did.
to that segment yet.
We just heard it. We just heard it, actually. Yeah, that's amazing. I'm glad she liked it. I'd say it's a 5 out of 5 too. It's amazing.
Okay, let's talk about another amazing game, Metaphor ReFantazio. It was my 2024 hindsight game. I've been playing it since Christmas. I got a PlayStation card for Christmas while Lauren was here. I purchased it, and I've been playing since then. I am 55 hours into this game, and I have not finished it yet. This is the latest turn-based RPG / social sim from Atlas. This is a team that has worked on games like the Persona franchise, Shin Megami Tensei. This is a team that was an offshoot of one of the Persona games. They went and kind of created their own team within Atlas to do this metaphor thing. It's a brand new franchise. They've never done it before, but they're taking a lot of inspiration from those other games, from the Persona franchise specifically. Basically, if you don't know, it is more of a, I guess, fantasy take on this world before I'm used to the Persona games, where it is very like we are set in the real world and then we jump into these kind of fantastical supernatural phenomenon. This is very much in its own fantasy world, but they do an interesting twist on it where in this fantasy world there is like literature and references to the real world, and it's kind of this like, can the real world change real life, or it can fantasy change the real world? It's very very cool in the way that it plays with that. And so it's essentially about an election for a new king, and your nobody character, your no name character that you name, canon name is Will, I always go with a canon name, assembles a group of people over time and puts their name in to become the next king and slowly ascends. And I am now at 60 hours in, very much on that ascent. I have this group of followers and people are liking you and you become one of these candidates. And so to dive into it, I love this game. I think it's one of the best turn-based RPGs I've ever played. I will just say right off the bat, fantasy games do not, or fantasy fiction in general, isn't my favorite thing in the world. It has to be very, very well done for me to buy in. And it's usually with the characters and like the situation that these characters are being put into that really get me. So I love like Game of Thrones because those characters are so good and it just happens to take place in a fantasy world. I love the Lord of the Rings because those characters are, I love that fellowship so much that I can get by it being in this like fantastical place. And this game does that for me. I think the world itself is a little, just to get some of the bad out of the way right away, the world itself did not 100% jive with me. I am much rather prefer the Persona side of things where it is set in the real world and we're going off and doing these things. But the characters here are just absolutely fantastic. You have your main character who is he's pretty like vanilla ice cream, pretty blank slate. You're kind of making your own thing, but you meet all these great all these great people that kind of join your cause. And for me, MVP, it's not going to be a hot take. Haizame, he's this little mouse character who has basically been framed for murder, and you help him like clear his name. You are there to take him down because you think, hey, if I can bring in this murderer who's been stealing all these kids, I'm going to like win a lot of favor in the eyes of the people, in the eyes of the kingdom. And you learn that no, that's not actually what happened. He's been framed. They do a great job in this game, in this world, of giving you all these, I'll say all these nouns, these like fantasy, sci-fi, everything. Mass Effect did this as well. You have this codex where there's just hundreds of entries of here's this species and this race and this religion, and every one of them is clashing in their own unique way. There's this really unique kind of class war going on in the world of metaphor, and Haizame, this little mouse man, is kind of on the lower end of the totem pole. And so you meet him and he's just like, he becomes kind of the group dad. I loved this game. I think that it is just an absolute delight to play. I think that Tom, I think you will really like it if and when you get to it, because it's the best Persona game ever made. It just doesn't take place in the Persona world. And yeah, I'm ready to see the end. But I don't think I'm anywhere near the end. So I will slowly chip away at it. I think that for me, the thing that really stuck with me here was, yes, the story's engaging, the story's gripping. There's so many great, like fantastic, just like twists and turns along this kind of election tale. And it's very, very like, it's eerily prescient to the real world. I can't believe this game came out like, I think it was like 9 days before the US election last year. And there's stuff that happens in it. And I'm like, how did you know? Which is like kind of crazy. But for me, the big thing was, and ultimately the big, whether a turn-based game hooks me or doesn't, is the actual combat. And I think the combat here and the combat system is just absolutely fantastic. My number one takeaway from this game, as somebody who adores Persona, is I cannot wait to see what this system looks like in a Persona game. Basically how it works is it is turn-based, and you have your party with their own different roles, but the way that those roles work are completely interchangeable. It's called the archetype system. So whereas in like past Persona games, you would have like your character is the warrior, and this character is the healer, and this character is the spellcaster. All of those roles are essentially thrown into a menu, thrown onto a grid, and you can assign them to anyone at any time and have as many of them as you want on your team. So if you want to go in with just like 5, I really like the sniper class, was one of the classes that I used a lot for like my playable character. If I want everyone to be a sniper, I can do that. If I want to have like 2 healers and 2 offensives, or like maybe like 2 healers, a heavy and an offensive, I can do that. And any character, characters have specialties between these roles, but like you can really change them as much as you want. It's just a currency thing, but once you have them learned for each character, they can just swap out at any point. And then from there, every time you're leveling up, you're getting closer to like each kind of archetype has its own, I guess, evolution tree, kind of like a Pokemon. So when it gets to a certain point and you've reached a certain amount of requirements, whether that is befriending people out in the real world, which is a whole part of this game I haven't talked about, this kind of social sim side of things, or it's leveling up the character, or it's just spending money, you can kind of unlock bigger and better versions of those roles. And then you take them into the battles. And in the battles, these party members each go turn by turn, and you have kind of a turn counter at the top of the screen. But if you hit an enemy's weakness or hit a foe's weakness, it only reduces the turn counter by half. And so you can essentially like go for quite a long time and wipe an entire enemy squad without them ever even getting a chance to attack you, because you've just used the weaknesses to your advantage. You knew what they were going to be coming in. You've scouted enough in the social sim side of things to know, hey, this castle is going to be full of goblins. I need piercing damage, so I'm going to bring just like it's going to be me and 4 knights, and we're just going to go as knights and go in there and use piercing damage the whole time. I really liked the way that like this combat system worked, and it does the whole Persona thing of the second you finish a battle and you finish the dungeon, you finish the castle, you finish the quest, whatever, now you're back into the real life and you're just like, okay, I'm gonna go and be best buds with Hazame. I'm gonna go sit around a fire. That bond is gonna deepen. We're gonna become best friends. And now next time we go into battle, we're gonna have a cool ass like synthesizer move we can do where we both like do a shared attack that deals a whole bunch of damage. And it's that hook of that using the real world. I mean, it all takes place in the same world. It's unlike Persona, I guess, in that, because Tom, like the Persona games are very much, you have the real world and the fantastical world are very separate. This is all, it's the same thing. It's all the same realm. But it's that like forward momentum of like finishing the battle and going into the next day. Of course, you have the calendar system from the Persona games. So it's like you get to the next day and you're like, okay, well today I'm just gonna hang out around here. I'm gonna clean my weapons. I'm gonna do laundry. I did a lot of laundry in this game because my number one complaint to the Persona games is your MP or AP. I forget what the actual stat is called, but your the points in the mana in this game when you're in dungeons can get, it's very hard to find resources to like bring that back up. Laundry in this game increases that stat. So I did a lot of laundry. But
Fair enough.
I think I'll stop because I have talked for a lot. But like, what do you think, Tom? Are you in?
I mean, that sounds really cool. Yeah, I mean, the thing, yeah, that's a cool like system for the combat. Like, I didn't really know that that's specifically how it worked. It kind of reminds me of, again, that you tried to play but couldn't like really get into Fire Emblem. Like, you can change classes in that, but it does sound a bit more like. So is it that you can kind of just like essentially apply certain classes to a character and then kind of swap them around, or is it like, is there kind of a resource cost with it? You just put it on?
So basically how it works is you have, each character has an archetype grid, and on the grid there's all these hexagons, and each hexagon is the archetype, is the role, whether it's healer, whether it's mage, whether it's knight, whatever. And so if me, the main character, goes in and wants to unlock an archetype for me specifically, I can do that. There's a cost to unlock it, but once you have it unlocked, you can switch at any time. However, you have to unlock them for every character, for every person on your party.
Yeah, right.
So like if I want to go over to Hazme, or I want to go over to like whoever, and Hulkenberg, whoever, and pick a new one that they haven't learned, I now have to spend that. It's called Magla. It's separate from the money you have. It's more like a relationship currency. So like every time I go and have dinner with this person, go and further this bond with someone else in the story, I earn this currency, and then I can spend it on upgrading these archetypes. Or also another thing with the archetypes I didn't mention, there's inheritance moves. And so basically for each archetype you start with one, and you can take a move from any of the other archetypes that you've unlocked, and you've unlocked that move as well, and inherit it over to that archetype. But as I go further in the story, and each kind of social bond, like in Persona, each kind of social bond is then paired with an archetype. And as I get deeper in that social bond, I have some now that's like you can unlock 3 inheritance moves. And so by the end of the game, I assume I'll have some characters that are like have every possible attack type, really. And so I can always target a weakness because I've been able to inherit like 4 or 5 different moves from each different class. And I really like that. It's not just, oh, I need this in this moment, let's switch over here. I'm also strategizing, going, how can I best maximize this character so I can have a character that can do it all? I can have a team that can heal, can buff each other, can also do like 4 or 5 different attacks, can do physical attack, can do magic attack, can do all the different elements. It's really like, I really liked that kind of like almost spreadsheet mindset that I was, every time I made a change to the archetypes, I had to really think about, okay, where am I going? How can I best maximize who is doing what? And what moves should I bring over from the other archetypes that I have?
Yeah, that's really cool. Like, because that's the thing with like certain RPGs. Like the thing that sprung to my mind was like Pokemon. Like, you need different Pokemon of different types to like best make your team have synergy. But I like the idea that like, it sounds like there seems to be a lot more freedom where it's like, yeah, you can pick one character where you can just like try to basically min-max them and get as much as of you know, variety within them as you might want to. So that sounds really cool, like the way that they kind of change it up. And it's similar with like Fire Emblem. I think they might have changed it in recent ones, but like once if you can change classes, there are ways to do that. So if you want your healer to now be like a Pegasus rider, for example, there are ways to make that happen, but there is a cost of doing that, and it's not once you've made that change, you can go back, but you have to like do all the cost again. So I like the idea that like once you've unlocked a certain archetype, you just get to like swap between them.
Yeah,
That
this you
sounds
can do it at any time. Mid dungeon, they have a great kind of. I liked this in Persona as well, and I think it was. I haven't played Persona 5 in a long time. I think it was almost lessened, but there's like a social tab you can open, and you can kind of see what people are doing as they play the game. Like, what are they doing on this day? Are they going and working their part time job? Are they going and hanging out with that journalist that you had a weird relationship with at the bar in Persona 5? In this, in any dungeon, you can open it up, and it will show you people who are completing the dungeon, what level they're at, and what archetypes they're using. And so it's like,
okay.
okay, like I'm getting my butt handed to me over and over and over again. They make it very accessible to like, you're going to make mistakes. It's quite challenging, the game, especially as you get further along, and you're really having to think about like buffs and debuffs and weaknesses and strengths. But if you lose, which you will, you can look at that menu and go, oh, this is what other people are doing. Why didn't I think of that? And switch over to that archetype, do that, and then boom, you're gonna like cruise your way through. So I thought that was really smart of like implementing that slight online feature, being able to see that. And then there's the whole other half of the game, which is the actual like time management. And I take it from the Persona side of things, but that whole take your time mentality of Persona 5, where you are looking at the calendar and going, okay, I have 19 days to complete this objective. And some of the objectives in this game I found way more than in Persona or Persona 5 and Persona 4, where in those games I would try and really like get to the dungeon and clear it in one day. And just like
Yeah.
rush my way through it. In this, I found it almost impossible to do that. I had to really think about my time and go, okay, I've got 19 days. I think that I can grind or do some side quests. And they did a great job of like doling out just enough kind of side activities as you get to each objective, and so that it would give you enough time to finish all of them, have leveled up enough, have gotten some new equipment, and then still have like 5 or 6 days to go in and do the dungeon and still have a couple days extra. So you do the side content, and then you're like, I'm ready. I'm going to go do this dungeon. I'm going to go do whatever. And when you get there, you usually, it's not because it's like, oh, I've run out of resources. It's more, I have no more mana. Let's leave. We can now, as you go with each save room, I'm forgetting if this was in Persona 5 as well. With each save room, as you get further into the dungeon, it's a fast travel point in this game, so that
Okay.
when you leave, you can just fast travel right back to where you were and have it. There's really no cost. So it's like, okay, just time. Do I have enough days? I think this dungeon, I usually was so far have been leaving like 3 days to complete a dungeon. I can usually do them in 2. Some of them have been quite difficult and I've had to leave to kind of recharge and come back. But I thought that like that time management thing is just, it's such a great hook. It just does things to my brain of just like seeing that calendar and every day thinking about what can I do? How can I better myself? And that mix that I love in Persona that they do so well here again of, okay, I'm gonna hang out with my friends. I'm gonna talk at this rally. I'm going to like do this little side quest of delivering bread or whatever. And it actively affects the like RPG side of the game as well. It's like, okay, I'm gonna eat with my pals here at the bar, and now next time we go into battle, next time we go into the dungeon, we're gonna be so much like bonded deeper and have cool new moves, or have like be able to like unlock the next archetype for cheap. I thought that was it worked on me again, where hours were melting by. I remember one weekend, it was right at the beginning of March, where I sat down on a Saturday and played like 8 or 9 hours in a row, and it just felt like time disappeared because the clock was just constantly moving forward. I'm just like constantly, okay, it's morning, afternoon, evening. What can I do with each of those time periods every day? And then you go to bed, and there's this weird voice in this game that it wasn't in any of the Persona games. There's like a line every time the day moves, and it's like, and as the clock ticks, the day of a new king draws nearer. And I could like hear it in my head because I've heard it so many times. And yeah, it got its hooks into me. It makes me really want to try Persona 3 remake that came out last year,
Oh yeah.
Reload. Because I'm just like, the one complaint I really have with this game is that the world is not my favorite thing.
Right.
I want to get back to that, like that Tokyo setting that we were in Persona 5, that rural Japan in Persona 4, that like going to school. I think I really liked that a bit more. It was more because the side activities here are fun and cool, and you're hanging out with your friends, you're doing laundry, as I said. I really liked the mix of like fantastical and realism in the Persona franchise that I've experienced, where it's like, to better myself in battle, I'm not just hanging out with my friends, I'm doing a part-time job, I'm going to the batting cages, I'm hanging out in the onsen. Whereas this was, everything was in this fantastical world, so everything had like a roots in this fantasy. I like that dichotomy of the fantastical and the real world in Persona, and that's why like this to me is, it is my favorite Atlas game that I've played so far, just because like the battle mechanics, the music, the characters, the story are so good. But it makes me so much more excited to see what Persona 6 looks like, because that's going to take this spot if it does all of this and is just set in the Persona world.
Yeah, everything you've talked about like just makes me want to play this, and like yeah, it gets me really amped for like where this could potentially go from here. Yeah, I think like Persona in general just does such a good job of like you're sort of saying, like your relationships and building all of that stuff, how that informs um like, and how that makes you motivated to keep doing those things, because it like directly impacts like how well you can do in dungeons and that sort of thing. So I'm glad that those kind of like systems are still, you know, the systems are working like as intended in Metaphor. That's really cool.
I didn't find this one as grindy as some of the Persona games I've played as well. Like, there, you
Yeah.
can go and grind, but I did find that just keeping up with my side activities, taking on bounties in the days off that I had, you can kind of go and like, there's a monster terrorizing this cathedral or whatever, like go do it and you'll get some cash or rewards. Doing that, I was finding myself at a decent enough level to complete and move the story forward, to complete the dungeons and kind of get things moving. I never really felt underpowered. The only times I ever felt like, man, I'm hitting my head against the wall, is because there was an interesting boss mechanic happening where I wasn't like fully putting to use the like buffs and debuff systems in this. There's a lot of like anxiety is one of the status effects, and burning and poison, and I think I just need to do a better job of like really really utilizing those, especially as I get deeper in the game, because at first it's just like you can smack the enemy and if you're high enough level you'll win, but like really using those, because the enemies start to use them on you, really
Right.
using those to your advantage is what you really have to think about as you get further. But yeah, I really liked it. My only other complaint is that it's, I think, a common Atlas complaint, and that I've had for quite a long time, is I wish these games looked just a little bit better, especially
Yeah.
in this one. I found in like Persona, the style does a lot, and like you're in these cityscapes, you can add a lot of style to this. You're out in the wilderness, and a lot of it is just kind of like brown and green, and it's very kind of muddy and almost like PS2 graphics a little bit. But that's my
Yeah.
only other
Well,
complaint. The style
that's
here
because
is
like
great as well. I did not shout out the style. This does have a style just like Persona does, and it's fantastic.
I guess the thing is like, yeah, because Persona 5, that was one of the complaints of like the, you know, the fidelity wasn't the best, but I guess like that was because it was like a
That was
PS3 and a
also, yeah, it was
PS4.
also a PS3 game.
Yeah, and this one is also a PS4 game. So I guess that's potentially why that has happened here again. Um but yeah, no, that's I guess that's fair enough. But yeah, maybe in future games, maybe Persona 6 will be the one where it looks like, you know, high fidelity, it looks incredible sort of thing. So maybe.
I am genuinely thinking about playing Persona 3 Reload. Like, it just,
Yeah. I
I
do have
love
it.
this
I do want to
formula.
play it. Yeah. So
That's all I really have to say. Like, I think that if you've thought about playing Persona or Metaphor, you can't go wrong. It's so good. The battle theme is just, is fantastic. Bring that battle theme back for Persona. I don't even care. I'm giving this a 5 stars. I asked Lauren this in her segment. I didn't ask you. Did playing Prince of Persia make you rethink your 2024 game of the year at all?
I
You give it
don't
to
think it
Astro,
did.
right? Or
No, I
you
give
give
it
it
to
to Balatro.
Balatro. Yeah, and
It's a hard
Balatro is
game to beat.
just it's really tough. I think Prince of Persia potentially would have cracked my top five, maybe top three. I don't know. I'll see when I finish it again. But um, I definitely think it's like one of the best games I did play that came out from last year. So yeah, I'll see when I finish it. Maybe it will surprise me. But yeah, I think Balatro, like I said, it's just really hard to beat that formula for me.
Yeah, I think that right now Metaphor has not made me 100% rethink. I think Astrobot and Prince of Persia I would still put above this, but this is the best RPG I played in 2024 or from 2024, and not Fantastic Four. Final Fantasy Rebirth was last year, and I loved that game. This is, I would say,
Yeah.
higher than that on my list. It is a 5 out of 5 masterpiece, and I can't wait for Persona 6. Okay, that is our New Game Plus Video Game Book Club Game of the Month for March 2024. Don't know what we're doing for April. With The Last of Us Season 2, I think we may end up taking the month off, but I'm not 100% sure. We will discuss and come back on the pod and talk about it here. Before we get out of here, Tom, what have you been playing this week? Besides Prince of Persia, I'm looking at this list right now, and what's going on, man?
Oh god. Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, I was in Florida last week. And because of that, I had my Switch, but I didn't really um have much time to play it because we were doing other things. But I was staying with a friend of the show, Pam, and we played a couple games on her Nintendo Wii because just for fun, basically. We did a little bit of Wii Fit. And I basically just like mentioned myself, I guess. Did some of those games. They're hard. I've never actually used the balance board before. In Wii
Oh,
Fit.
what Wii Fit
So
are you doing? Just the basic Wii Fit, like,
just the
pack-in
standard
game?
one. Yeah. So I wasn't familiar with it, but it gets you to do some specific games where you have to kind of lean in certain ones.
I remember
So it's using like the
skiing,
motion.
I think, was one
Okay,
of
yeah,
the
we didn't
games I
try
had to
that.
do. It was like a ski jump.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It was weird. I'm not gonna lie. But it was a bit of fun. It did roast us a little bit, but that's just how it goes with Wii Fit, I guess. Um, Pam also bought Happy Feet for the GameCube,
Hell
um,
yeah. Go
which
Pam.
is which is a crazy get. But yeah, we played it on the Wii. It's I'm not gonna lie, it's not got a lot of content to it. We played it multiplayer. It's not got a lot of depth. There's basically like 3 game modes. There's basically like like a Dance Dance Revolution esque game, a Fortnite festival, if you will, mini game in this as one of the things. There's also like 2 others that I'm kind of or forgetting at this point. I think there's a sledding one where you're going down as a penguin, but the 2 players weird because the sledding one, the first player is controlling the penguin, the second player is controlling like walls of ice and using them to kind of and you press a button and they go down. So you're basically like it's like I describe it as like a Super Mario Galaxy where it's like that game had 2 player, but the second player was basically just another pointer on the screen that could collect other starbits. It felt very similar to that. So Happy Feet, yeah, it was fine. This next game though, oh boy. We're gonna talk about this game. Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz on the Wii is incredible. And specifically for one game mode, the crazy thing about Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz is that it has a single player like a traditional Super Monkey Ball game, but it has a mini game mode which is 50 different mini games, which is just it's mind-boggling that they would do this for a game like this. But one of those games is Super Monkey Ball Golf, and you're basically playing in a monkey ball. So you're using the Wiimote to control a monkey ball. But you're using golf mechanics. So you're like swinging a Wii remote to hit this monkey ball and get it into a goal. Um, and it's one of the most frustrating yet hilarious games I've ever played on the Wii. The motion controls do not work. To be honest, they're not the best. They're not very intuitive. We did kind of figure out a system of trying to get it to work, but a lot of the times you're either hitting too hard, you're hitting too little. But it creates like such hilarious moments that doesn't even matter. It's just like amazing. I was kind of shocked how much like fun we had with this. We did play it last time I was over as well, but playing it again, I just um was really like we're just enamored with it, to be honest. I really enjoyed it, and that kind of um got me interested in like, okay, maybe there's an HD remake on Switch. Maybe I'll buy that because that'll be cool. So we were in a GameStop one time. I was buying some Pokemon cards. And then Pam's boyfriend goes and finds on the wall Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD for $15. And I'm like, for $15, why not? Let's give it a go. Let's see how this kind of stacks up to the original. And guys, I've just talked up Banana Blitz so much on the Wii. The Switch HD remake is not good. It's completely inferior, and I'll tell you why. The Switch remake, for whatever reason, gets rid of the motion controls. So that jankiness, that uncertainty of it all is basically gone. You're using the control sticks and the A button, and while that might make it a bit more easy to control, it just kind of removes a lot of the fun with it. But that's not even the worst problem with the game. The worst problem is that the Wii version had 50 minigames. The HD remake only includes 10. And of those 10, the golf minigame is not part of it. And I didn't know that before buying the game. So we bought it and we booted it up, and it just didn't have the golf game. So I was like, well, I spent $15. What's the point? What am I gonna play this for? We tried some of the other mini games. They were fine, but just not as not as chaotic and fun as the golf thing, which is a shame because I think like even if it was not motion controls, you could have found a way to make like the golf work on the Switch. But yeah, I was just left a little bit disappointed with that. So if you're listening to this, considering getting Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz, get it on the Wii because that is the superior version apparently. But yeah, that's my chaotic kind of run of games that I was playing instead of Prince of Persia last week.
I've been madly trying to figure out what Monkey Ball game I have played because I have one on the Switch
Okay.
that
Yeah.
is, I guess, a remake of 1 and 2,
Yeah, right. I think those ones
and
are
I
supposed to be.
love it.
Yeah.
But I'm playing the single player mode. We were like going through the levels
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
controlling the it's the Monkey Ball formula. You're controlling the level as opposed to actually controlling the ball. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm just not very good at it, so I'm like stuck on a level right now, but I was excited for you to like have converted to Team Monkey Ball, but that doesn't seem to be the case. I have been playing. Last week we talked at length. Assassin's Creed Shadows it's the real deal. I'm hooked. I'm loving it. It is the Ubisoft formula has hooked me again, and I'm just sitting here wiping out castles, listening to podcasts, stabbing dudes in the neck. I will say, if you're going to play this game, anyone listening, and you, Tom, turn on instant assassinations. They're not on by default. If I sneak up behind a guy after taking out all these fools around him for the last 40 minutes, and you go up there and try to stab him in the neck with your hidden blade, you can't tell that he is not assassinatable, I guess, until you get right up there. And then
Right.
you hit the button and he grabs you and throws you on the other side. Now you're in a sword fight. No, if I snuck up on you and stabbed you in the neck, you should die by one hit. But if I'm doing that to higher level people, they can also kill me kind of in one hit as well. So I think it's a fair trade-off. There's also like abilities in the game that you can unlock to get instant assassination. So I turned it on. I'm like, okay, this is making the game more fun for me, and I'm really enjoying it. The other game I want to shout out, Tom. There was a hidden Tony Hawk game that was brought to my attention this week. I was listening to the Giant Bombcast as I usually do, and Dan Reichert over there is talking about a hidden Tony Hawk game. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Toys for Bob, who made Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1+2, made a Tony Hawk game on the PS2 GameCube era called Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure, and it is in the Tony Hawk Pro Skater engine, and it just is skate parks based on Disney levels, and you can turn on pro controls, and it just controls exactly like a Tony Hawk game, except you're at Pride Rock from The Lion King, you're in Andy's bedroom from Toy Story, you're at the Jungle Book. Like, it rocks. It is so good. It is just an extra Tony Hawk game. You're going through doing objectives like you usually do with the Tony Hawk games, and I'm playing through it right now for the first time. It rules. It is awesome,
God,
especially as like a Disney nerd, and I didn't know this existed really, and it is as good as it is. It's fantastic.
that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know this was a thing either. This is amazing. So did you just get it for PS2 or GameCube, or like is it how you
GameCube. I'm playing it on GameCube right now, and yeah, it
nice?
rules. I love it.
Cool. Wait, can you play as different characters as well?
Oh yeah,
Like
you can
see a
play as
screenshot of
Woody.
Pumbaa?
You can play as Pumbaa. You can play as Simba on all fours on this like wooden skateboard. I am playing as one of the dumb looking like creative skater kids because they have
Right.
maxed out stats, whereas everyone
Okay.
else has like
Fair
not
enough.
maxed out stats. So
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, I made a creative character. My creative character in every game, whether it's MLB The Show, whether it's Elden Ring, whether it's whatever, is a man named Herb Champagne, and he has a
Okay.
mustache and a mullet. And so I go through and all my creative characters in every game now, I make Herb Champagne. And so I've made Herb as a child, and he is now a pro skater skating his way through the Disney ranks, and it
This is
rocks. It rules. The Herb Champagne
wow.
comes from because I don't know if you've ever played like a sports game before, like FIFA or whatever, but when you make a character's name in those games, there are selectable names that the announcers will be able to say. And Klein is never one of
Oh.
them. And so I was like, in college, I'm like, how can I make my NBA player or make my MLB player and have it so that the announcers can say the name instead of just some generic nickname? And one name I came across was, I thought Herb is just a really funny name. And then I was just like looking through the last names, and one of them was Champagne, and I was like, okay, you are my gaming persona from now on. So Herb Champagne is coming. He's done a lot. Okay, he's traversed the lands between an Elden Ring. He's been a Major League Baseball player. He's been a Tony Hawk pro skater. Yeah,
Wow. That's deep Klein lore. I mean, wow, didn't know you had an alter ego like that. That's to be fair, Herb Champagne is kind of an awesome name. So that's fair enough that you picked that, honestly.
yeah, but yeah, Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure. If you got a GameCube laying around, you can find it. I'm
Wow.
sure it rocks.
Exciting. Yeah, maybe they'll do a HD remake of it. Probably not. But it'd
Bring
be
this
cool if
back.
they could
I
do
would
it. They could do it
play.
with new worlds, new
Think about what
characters.
Disney owns now.
Yeah.
Star Wars, Marvel. Are you
Mm-hmm.
kidding me? Skateboarding around Avengers Tower? That'd be
That'd be
awesome.
wild.
That'd be
Yeah.
so good. You
It
could
would basically
we've
be like
we've done
Spider-Man,
so
but like
many
with
different
skateboarding.
like Pixar's done so much since then. A
Yeah.
Monsters Inc. level where the doors are
Oh,
all like hanging around and stuff would be, oh my god. Coco. You
yeah.
could do Big
Wally
Hero
with low
6.
gravity. Yeah, there's a lot
It
of
would be
potential.
awesome. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
Disney, that's a free idea.
let's
Okay,
do it.
that's what we've been playing. We don't have a comment corner for this week, but I do want to ask a question as we've been doing with these comment corners lately. On this YouTube video over on Spotify, I want you to answer this question this week. What is your dream announcement for the Switch 2 reveal? It's coming up. We're going to be live reacting over on YouTube, so please let us know on this video if you're watching it over on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, you can leave a comment there. What is your dream announcement for the Switch 2 reveal? You can also let us know over on social media. We are at Controller Club Pod on Instagram and Blue Sky, at Controller_Club on Twitter, and at Controller.Club on TikTok. If you're watching the video version of this podcast, please subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, leave us a review, subscribe, do all the things. It really helps out. And if you want to get in touch with us more personally, you can send us an email. We are controllerclubpod@gmail.com. Tom Drew, that's going to do it for this, a beefy episode, especially when I put in that time traveling Lauren segment. So where
Yeah.
can people keep up with you after almost 2 hours of Controller Club goodness? And what do you've got going on?
Yeah, you can find me at Tom Drew Art, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, basically everywhere. Yeah, not got much going on, like I kind of said the past couple of weeks, but I've been posting some of my pulls from Pokemon packs. So tune in there. I will show the YouTube audience, listeners. You'll have to go to the YouTube version to see this. But I did pull this Sylveon card.
Oh,
I don't know if you can
that's
see it. It's
cool. Like a full
kind
art.
of blurry. Yeah, this is one of the most kind of desired cards from one of the recent sets, Prismatic Evolutions, and I pulled it the other day and I couldn't believe it. So you want to see an HD version of that pick, and another really cool card that I pulled that day. It's on Blue Sky. So check it out, Tom Duart.
Excellent. You can keep up with me everywhere. I'm at the Kleinfeld, Instagram, Blue Sky, as well as Twitter, Letterboxd as well. I've been posting stuff over there. Finally seeing movies again. It took like 2 months here in 2025, but I went and saw Black Bag. Rules.
All right,
2025 movie, absolutely fantastic. We got the Minecraft movie coming up here pretty quickly, so I'm trying to be more active over on Letterboxd. That's gonna do it for this episode of Controller Club. We will see you bright and early, 6 a.m. Pacific, April 2nd, for the Switch 2 reveal. We're doing that live on YouTube. As always, thank you so much for listening. Now, let's get gaming.